Good, everybody. Topic of my next video will be how bad is it to be good and how good is it to be bad. But for now, I will give you another video message. And today we will talk about the esoteric or alchemistic principle as within, so without. And I most of the times, my videos are about either a psychological point of view or a spiritual point of view or a biological point of view. And it's always the same phenomenon that I describe, but you can look at it from the different angles. So we all know that body and mind are connected. So if you want to address something with your psyche, you can use the body. So let's say you struggle with a traumatic experience, and to address the symptoms, you can use sports. So let's say your body releases cortisol, adrenaline, and cortisol because of PTSD flashbacks. You can address this and improve your situation by running, because what you're going through is a fight and flight loop. And when you are in reality in a fight and flight situation, what you do is fight and flight. And this means you use up the adrenaline and cortisol in your blood, and therefore it is not remaining in your system, which could be detrimental to your health. In other words, you can fight the symptoms of this by doing sports, or when you want to focus on improving your physical performance, the mindset is important. This means you work on your psyche to improve your body. So there is a connection. Now, when I say as within, so without, it also means that there are the basic. Basically, you have to educate yourself. It's easy. Just ask ChatGPT-4 or the internet, Google. Anyway, there are basic trauma responses. I think it's 4 or 5. One of them is freeze, but there are other trauma responses. And there's always a way to negatively respond to trauma, which means you adopt a behavioral pattern that is self destructive and does not lead out of the traumatic loop, or you have a trauma response that will lead you out of the same problem. This is one of the reasons why the same experiences or the same quality of experiences can break one person or lead to severe damaging outcomes, and another person even grows from the situation. It is because the way you respond and process the problem is different. So as within, so without. Um, and also the way you regulate your emotions can be done internally, which means when you see certain patterns and experiences, or these traumatic loops where you go through the same situation over and over again, whatever it is, where you change something in your perception, in your narration, in in the way you integrate this within yourself, and it solves or improves the problem, the circumstance for you. The other way would be to not solve the problem internally, but through projection, which means you depend on other people around you to regulate your emotions. This means there is people when they have an internal conflict, when they put another person in the same conflict or in an even worse situation, it stabilizes them, which means they use other people to stabilize them, or they use other people to validate a fantastic creation that they make so that they can believe it. But this creates dependence, external validation, and when the person depends on other people, it's like an addiction, and this means they will have toxic relations to these other people because they will be tempted to coerce these people, and they also these people the the people who what they are dependent on will not be free to speak and be the way they want to be, but they have to respond in a certain way. This is why they have to be trained. So this means people use other people to satisfy them or to regulate their emotions. So in this case, of course, the healthy way would be to regulate yourself by observing yourself through introspection, which means you look at yourself from the perspective of another person. You step out of yourself, look back at yourself, and based on this observation, and you you kind of make an internal change that helps you to stay regulated, which has many advantages, but the most important is you are not a toxic person for a community because you don't need the other people. You come in clean. You come in independent, and therefore you're able to create relationships based on independence, not on codependence. So these are all topics involving as within, so without. Okay? So again, there are different trauma responses. Some lead to self destructive or um, external destructive behavior, which means autoaggression. Depression, by the way, is a form of aggression led inside of yourself. Or um, aggression, external aggression means you are destructive to your environment in a violent way. Um, but there are other ways to respond to the same situation if you're able to find other ways to communicate and channel these energies. Okay. um, so this is one of the ways to see this principle of as within so without. And another way where you see it is the way you deal with conflicts, with moods, and you do it either by putting them to the outside, projecting them into the world, and trying to get rid of them by blaming others, um, or whatever the conflict is. Okay, it does not have to be blame. It can also be that you compare yourself to other people, and therefore you have to for some reason, in some weird way, um, make this person devalue the person, or you need this person to kind of be in a worse situation than you are, because this is the only way you can validate your grandiose sense of self, if that makes any sense. So in any way, um, the healthy side, the intoxic side, would always be to work on your inside, um, to be ready to be independent in the way you do your relationships. Don't compare yourself to others, compare only to yourself. And also, when you have any conflicts, you need always to have a response, a concept that is leading you out of the situation, um, not make the problem worse. Because if you do self destructive things or destructive things, you will always spiral inwards into deeper and more problems. That being said, that's was the message for today. I'm kind of tired. I did not sleep that well. Uh, but this is life, I think. And yeah, see you in the next video.